Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is someone who just cooked up a delicious batch of lemon squares. It's Anande Boetas.
Aw, no more lemon squares. That was the first thing. I went and watched the movie in the theater with my husband, and it was amazing. It was one of the first movies people went out to see since the pandemic, and so it was so much fun. Oh, a new Scream movie, and that was like one of the first things that happened. We both looked at each other, and he was like, "Oh, no more lemon squares." So sad.
Do you think Gail really meant it when she said in Scream 4 that your lemon squares taste like ass?
No, I don't. I don't think she meant that at all. Um, yeah, that's so Gail. Oh gosh.
I love that line.
Um, I love the I love the way how she and Sam connected in the fifth one with like Officer Judy being all giving them a hard time and with them connecting over that. It was so sweet. Like, yeah, Officer Judy had it rough. Gosh, she got slashed bad.
So many stabs in this movie. And I just want to say, so for everyone listening, Zanandi and I are huge Scream fans. You've written about it for Cracked. I've written about it for Movies, Films, and Flicks. I counted all the Screams in all these movies, so we decided, hey, let's go through the entire franchise, but we'd start with 5, then go down to 4, then go down to 3, then go down to 2, then go down to 1. It just feels right. So, yeah, so
I'm kind of like, why have we not done this before with the others? So.
Because it's such a great franchise, and I'm 39, and so I watched the first one when I was 14. And that movie felt like kind of a bomb went off because I wasn't too versed in horror. I had watched all the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, but I just kind of took them as like these are fun. Like it's Ernest Scared Stupid. It's like stupid horror. I always kind of looked at horror when I was younger as like stupid horror because I think that was very much so the 90s. I don't think I'd watched The Thing yet. I really associated horror with slashers. So Scream comes around and it adds this knowing meta conversation. A really great cast. And ever since then, like Scream 2, I remember just being obsessed with. And Scream 3, I was the only one who was 17 of my friends group. So I went to the theater almost every day and bought one ticket so my friends would have tickets on the Friday night it opened. Scream 4, I remember watching with Megan, my wife. And then Scream 5 was just a great time because theaters had just opened up. So I feel like I can trace watching every single one of the Scream movies. And I'm so stoked that we're going to be going over these films.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's interesting how you say, like, with the original, it actually did the same for me. I mean, like, you watch the Freddy's and Michael Myers movies, and like, none of that really made us think, as kids, we were just like, whoa, okay, scary, creepy, like men with like knives, whatever. And I think I love the Scream movie so much. Like when I saw the first one with Nev and everyone like, whoa, like these girls are also like hardcore. And I feel like before Scream, you had either like the mean girl or you had the screamer girl in the movie that ran away screaming. And like personally, I couldn't relate to. So here comes Scream with maybe a bit of a more, how do you say, know-it-all attitude, like with the meta commentary. And I was like, oh yeah, this is my jam. And I think it was like for a lot of us, like, just like fun. Oh wow, yeah, this is our kind of thing. Give us more of this. I mean, the first Scream was scary. Like, it was really scary. Like, it freaked out a lot of us. It had that too, but also great comedy. I mean, we were all saying lines for years after that. We were all like, "Live her alone," and like, quotes in the movie. So much fun.
I'll
Yeah,
be
it's
right
just great.
back. It's yeah. I mean, and if you look at Wes Craven, imagine a Wes Anderson Scream movie. Like Wes Craven, in the 70s, Last House on the Left, and then in the 80s, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and then in the 90s, Scream. I mean, this is a guy who just kept making excellent films over 3 decades. And I think this one was a really, it's interesting when a writer and a director have a really great, what's the word? They're kind of symbiotic. When you look at maybe
Oh
like
yeah.
Tarantino and Tony Scott in True Romance or other writers with other directors, these two really understood each other. And I love watching behind the scenes footage of Wes Craven, by the way, and I love how they celebrate in this movie. I mean, poor Wes gets killed, and then they have a wake to Wes saying to Wes, like
Oh,
it's well
love
done.
it. Oh.
I also like that the main characters in this movie are the Carpenters, which makes me very happy. So it's like a nice homage to
Yeah.
John Carpenter. But no, I guess this franchise just meant a lot, and I think Scream 5 is one of my favorite requels. And you're gonna hate me. I guess if I had to rank the Scream movies,
Gotcha.
I would probably go Scream, Scream 2, Scream 3, Scream 4, Scream 5, but I love all of them. So it's not like I'm saying like most awesome to least awesome, at least for me. I find like things I love
Yeah.
in all of them. So I'm not like I would still put Scream 5 ahead of probably I don't know 80% of other horror movies I watched. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not trying to hate on it, but the more I watch it though, the more I like it. I dig Scream 5. What you've watched it how many times?
8 times now, 9 times because I just watched it to get into the part now. So 9 times in full since what, January? Wow. Okay, but also because I've like written a couple of articles about it too. But also because I really love it and it get old. Like I still have the same problems I had the first time I watched. Okay, the second time I watched it because like when you watch at home, you've got more time to pause and like rewind or whatever. I still have the same problems, but I still love the same stuff more. I still cry every time. I still cry. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's one. For me, it's 1, 5, 3, 2, 4. That's my ranking, but the same. Love all of them. There's not one Scream movie that I detest. Not one. I love all of them. But yeah, 5 and 3, very close second. Very close second. 5 and 3. But yeah, 1, 5, 3, 2, 4.
You know,
2, 4 also very close. Like it's so close. It's like, everyone's a winner, Mark.
I I reached out to the MFF folk, and it was really interesting because 5 was never the first on the list. It was never number one, but it
No.
was very often number two, and more often than
Yeah.
not, it was either number 2 or 5. It's four and well, actually 3 hit, but I noticed 4 is last place on many lists. But yeah, we'll get into all
Mm.
these movies more about why we love them. But
We
yeah, that's my
will.
ranking, and you
Yeah.
know what? It might change as we go through these. The one thing I do think is missing that makes this number 5 for me is like I love Jill in Scream 4. I love her. Um, it seems believable now. And 3, the brother and how silly it was. And 2, what oh man, whether Loomis's Mrs. Loomis's performance. I forget her name, but she's amazing. Timothy Olyphant. And then you can't beat the first one. But so I absolutely love Scream 5. But I guess the one thing that puts it in 5 is in 4, I think Jill is a really cool killer. I like her motive. In 3, it's wildly silly. 2, I love Mrs. Loomis. I like the idea that they shot it a year later and made it so successful. And 1 is just the best. But I love 5, but I guess the one issue I have is they cover the toxic fandom, which 100%. I've seen so much of it, and I love that they did it in horror, which is especially relevant in the days of quote unquote elevated horror. But I guess the killers to me are more of like a concept rather than interesting. I guess they're cool, but like, and I think they had to do it, and it was a smart decision to do it. But I guess when they're more like they represent something than just being like the killer, and I didn't find that to be too effective, but I still love it because we like. What's interesting? I worked in a theater in '99 when Phantom Menace opened, and I saw how angry people were about Phantom Menace. I was like, why are these adults so pissed off about this movie? And
Oh,
then,
yeah, yeah.
The Last Jedi, and also too, like with the rise of what maybe let's see, with Insidious and then Sinister, and then the rise of kind of low budget horror made by auteurs, the quote unquote elevated horror, which I hate that term because is Rosemary's Baby elevated since it's a concept? Is Dawn of the Dead elevated horror? I mean, James Whale snuck in tons of great stuff in Universal horror movies. Are those elevated horror? Like elevated horror is not new, so I don't. The term seems like
Yeah, it's terrible term. Everyone should stop saying elevated horror. It doesn't make any sense. Like so many of our stuff is like elevated to it's dumb. We should all stop using that term.
when Jenna Ortega, Tara Carpenter, says it in that movie, you really don't even believe it when she says it. And then she talks about the
No,
Babadook, like it's
not
a wonderful
even.
exploration of grief, and you're just like,
An eye roll.
yeah,
Yeah, whatever, little girl.
you're just sort of repeating that. And listen, I mean, the Babadook I like the Babadook, and I love It Follows, and The Witch. You know what's interesting? If you look at the audience score, IMDb score of audience scores, user scores of a lot of these horror films, like The Witch has a 45%. There's a lot of people who don't enjoy these movies. Like It Comes at Night, that got a D minus cinema score. I think The Witch got a D minus cinema score because maybe it's those people coming in looking for slasher films that get The Witch, that get Robert Eggers, that get a. Listen, I do think the marketing can be quite. If I was a marketing exec, then someone handed me It Comes at Night and they're like, market this as a horror movie. I don't know what I would do. So I do think you kind of have to market in a certain way. But yeah, the anger that comes with some of these horror films, like the quote unquote elevated horror films from people who grew up watching slashers, is quite ridiculous. And so to have them touch on this in Scream 2022 is pretty great, and it gives it a reason to exist. Unlike, for me, Michael Myers in the new Halloween movies, like a dude helps him escape, then a dude drives him to Jamie Lee Curtis's house, and then they quote unquote subvert the genre and make it a mob justice movie after that. Like that, there's no reason for Michael Myers to exist there. And even Jurassic World, I haven't enjoyed those requels, and I'm not hating. I guess I am hating, but this one I think has a reason to exist. At least I believe, because they found the angle of toxic fandom, which is a fun area to explore.
Absolutely. I think what Scream 5 gets right is it takes a great Wes Craven property that is well loved and has it's a vehicle to say a lot about the genre of horror, cinema at large, but also like horror specifically. And it takes that and it shows a lot of love and care towards it. Like we love the whole Wes tributes, but yeah, it's like, okay, Wes isn't here anymore. We're not taking over. The old people are getting older. They can't run around upstairs anymore like they used to. We're getting the young people in. Like they're doing it with care and like respect, I feel almost. I don't know. I just loved how they did it. I loved the young kids from the beginning because I knew exactly what they were doing with this movie. So I was sitting in the theater with such a big goofy smile on my face, and like I was just embracing the kids from the get-go. I thought they were really great. Again, like you could just feel the adoration for what they were doing, and like knowing that, ooh, this is a big title, we need to now do it justice. And I just think they did. I don't think it's ever easy to like take over from. I mean, we saw it in Star Wars. We see it in like a lot of other stuff. I mean, I loved Rey, but like I know that's not the easiest thing to like kind of give the mantle over to another, like new main characters. But yeah, I think Scream did enough with what they could, using the old characters to come in. I do agree with you on the killers. I kind of hope that they're left kind of vague because there's more to come of them, like maybe like more of the backstory that's going to fill out like 6. So you're going to like understand things more, but not like in the same way they did the first 3 trilogies. The first 3, like where it ended up being Sydney's brother, which is hilarious that they just choose when like Sydney and Gail is in the car and Gail's like, oh, this is all my fault. I wrote the book. And Sydney's like, no, you didn't start this. Billy did. And I'm like, okay, so we're just going to ignore Scream 3. Are we? We're just going to ignore the brother.
Yeah.
Like, I hope they don't like necessarily simulate that. But I do hope that there might be some more character revelations still to come. Because it sounds like they do have a larger thing. I mean, they were ready to go with Scream 6 almost immediately. So, which tells me they have a lot of stuff. Hopefully that more will come out and just like enrich the new trilogy, maybe.
No,
if you
absolutely.
will.
And if you think
Yeah.
about these characters too, I mean, the two villains, you have Richie, who I love that Jack Quaid plays a guy called Huey in The Boys and a guy called Richie in Scream 5. But Richie and Amber, and
Yeah, that's
also
cool.
I love that Mikey Madison, who plays Amber Freeman, spoiler, one of the killers in this movie, that she also has a very similar death in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She also gets lit on fire, which is
Oh wow, you're right.
yeah, and
Oh my
it's just
gosh.
funny
I
watching it.
forgot about that.
And I really enjoyed her when she went killer. I really enjoyed Amber when she kind of started owning it. But it's
Yeah, listen, I couldn't stand her before that. Like, I was like, who is this character? No. And
yeah.
then at the end, it all made sense. And I was like, oh, that was worth it. That was worth
And
it.
but I mean, if you think about it, remember when Mindy drops her wonderful monologue about requels, and the guy from Knives Out directed Stab 8, and then people got on
Mm.
4chan and they complained about Mary Sue's, and then people love horror. They don't like the elevated horror. It's meta slasher. It's not making fun of them. They want to write their own version. So I do think that there are more angry fans. I mean, if we look at Star Wars, angry fans don't go away. In '99 they were pissed about Phantom Menace,
Ah,
and I worked at a theater and I saw how angry people were. I worked Comic Cons and I saw how people were mean to Jake Lloyd. I was there for like the Last Jedi hate, and now we have Obi-Wan Kenobi and all those issues. So angry fans are not gonna go anywhere. So I think it's a good way to um, it's a way to keep the franchise alive. And I think most importantly, what this movie does, at least for me, and the directors on the commentary, which is really fun and a very interesting listen, but they said that all four Scream movies count. So this isn't the Halloween movies that have 1, 2, 8, and 9, or they do
yeah,
1,
yeah.
2, let's see, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Wait, and then you have 1, 2, 7. You have 1, 2, H2O and Resurrection. Like there's so many timelines, which it's like it's really hard to watch Halloween now because they're like, oh, we don't like past installments, so we're just gonna skip those. Like it just seems so I don't know. I don't like it. So I like that this one's like all four happened. This is Scream 5. We're bringing back Judy. She's gonna like we're bringing back these lemon squares. We're bringing back aspects of this. So I kind of I don't know. I love that they treat all four like they actually happen. They respect those four. And also, this movie was written in 2.5 weeks. The initial outline that was 70 pages by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick, which is insane. 2.5 weeks they wrote the 70-page outline for this.
Well, I mean, the first one was written over a weekend. Kevin
Yeah,
wrote Scream, the first one over a weekend. So apparently that's the trick with a good Scream movie is you just get that out there. Like, don't think, just do.
that's a
But
great point. That's a great point, though, right?
yeah,
Because
right.
because you have the central concept. You
That's
have
the thing. You're like, 5 is about toxic fandom. 4 is about wanting to be famous in like the gig economy or whatever. Or, like, and everything's got its little. 3 is like a bit about the true crime stuff, which I think it would be actually cool if they can like kind of bring that back. Because I like the true crime angle that's always been there, really, since the first Scream movie. I think it'd
yeah.
be cool if they can like do it with Scream 6 or even the seventh one, where it's like a bit of there's always different stories and people saying, oh, but I had no, like this is what happened, or like this documentary said this happened, but no, this is what actually happened, or what the documentary got wrong, and that whole thing that actually really happens. I think that would actually be fun. Just like I just want to throw that out there because I've been thinking about it. Because yeah, like Scream always has that. But yeah, they've got the central concept. So it's really just about figuring out the 1, 2, 3 of the killers and then putting people in the right place and just making sure they're at the right place. Like a bit convoluted sometimes, but that's fine. As long as the kills are awesome. I think we forgive a lot of that from Scream as long as the kills are awesome, like how did they know Vince was going to go to the bar that night to go like,
Yeah.
perv on Liv? We don't care because that was a great kill. They brought Red Right Hand back. I was like literally dancing in my seat in the movie when I heard the song in the background. Guys getting slashed. I'm dancing. ah,
And they brought back
yeah,
the
it's really
Broken
good.
Arrow score from
I
the
mean,
first one. It's just
love
And
it.
I think
We
it
love
really
it.
does, it wedges in a lot of nostalgia with the lemon
Yeah,
squares, with the songs, but it does feel tasteful. It feels, I don't know,
yeah.
the Ready or Not guys and the writers, like
Respectful.
they know what's going on. They knew how to
Hmm.
make this, and also too, like, what happens with Dewey, spoilers, is I love that he was in a wrestling documentary called You Cannot Kill David Arquette, and then he's in Scream 5 and Dewey gets got in a very dumb
Yes,
way.
today. Oh,
I'm not saying
that
dumb.
line.
Okay, I guess you know what I'm gonna say though is I never say what a horror character does is dumb, because the other day like something I thought a snake wrapped around my leg the other day, but it was a weed and I slipped and fell. So I mean, I'm not gonna like be like, oh, if a killer comes in my house, this is what I would do. But Dewey has been through 4 films of murder, so he does go back, which is smart, but it still hits hard, and it's an excuse to bring Sydney back, which you needed to bring her back, and how are you going to bring
Yeah,
her back without something cataclysmic? It's not just
exactly.
20th high school anniversary. She wouldn't come back for that. So I think getting all the chess pieces back on the board, you kind of had to take out Arquette. But I love 2022 David Arquette. He's grizzled, he's a wrestler, he's sober, and he's just sort of realizing his character actor chops after many years. And I
Oh
think he's just
man.
earned that look. Even though I didn't like the production
Yeah.
design in his I didn't like the production design in his trailer, because there's like an entire bar set with Graham Marnier and he's a washed up alcoholic, and you're like, what is happening? Like, and then there's a picture of a cat randomly, but he's never liked cats. It just felt like they had stuff in a trailer and they put it into his trailer. It's very
I read they actually took stuff from him and Courtney's life to make it very real. And apparently the scenes between them were also like very emotionally real. Like when I read that, I cry even more every time I watch it now. But yeah, so maybe they had a cat together, and that's the cat photo.
Oh, is that
Because
what that
yeah,
is?
he said, I read in the interview, he said he like literally the director was like, bring photos of you and Courtney to like fill it out, because I mean, obviously it's easy to just do that, like do it that way because they have photos. So yeah, that's that.
All
But
right. I still don't like
yeah.
it. It makes sense though.
That's fine.
It makes sense. And but I guess with now that I know it, I get it. I just was looking in the trailer, and also you brought this up, the house in the beginning, the opening kill with Jenna Ortega, which I really enjoy. And also, we were talking about this, and I listened to the commentary again. So they shot it in the beginning when she was 17, then they had to shut down for COVID, and then all the other stunty stuff was when she came back, and they shot it at the end when she was 18. But I think
Right.
that makes it hit harder because, listen, the kill in Scream 1 was tough, right? It was Drew Barrymore, brutal, mean. Everyone loved Drew Barrymore. The second one was Jada Pinkett and Omar Epps, but they were older. This one, you're watching actual 17-year-old, 18-year-old getting hunted and killed. And normally I feel like they're 28. So, I don't know. It hits differently when it's an actual young person being hunted. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess I felt the same with, I mean, yeah, it was Drew Barrymore, but like in the movie she was like young, so I guess it felt the same for me. And because like Sarah actually made it, it was okay. But yeah, I actually didn't really see it that way. I think I
Oh.
just had, yeah, all the other stuff like going through my mind, the Babadook lines and stuff through me. But yeah, also that house, like I think that's just the thing. Every time I watch the scene, I wonder about it more and more. What does Mrs. Carpenter do for a living? Because according to Tara, she's apparently not only in AA, but also in NA. Listen, there's a lot of that's the other point too. There's a lot of drug stuff happening in this movie, actually, because Sam, apparently, she says at one point she used to take all the drugs to deal with the revelation that she's Billy's kid. She's like on antipsychotics now, because, and we'll talk about that now. Sarah is in the hospital telling her sister, well, every time they're giving me more painkillers, so that's great. She's getting hooked on those pills. And now, yeah, mom is apparently also having problems there. But they've got a very nice house. I'm like, what does mommy do for a living? Why is mommy so loaded? But it's this extremely dysfunctional family, clearly. Do they have a stepdad? What's happening? Is it his house? Like, where is mother? Where is mother?
Yeah, mother's never
Yeah.
around. She doesn't even come home for a few days to go
I
see her
know that.
daughter.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, why? Does she even, yeah, it's very strange. I know, like, Scream has never been big on the parents, unless, like, in the second one, the parents is a murderer. Yeah, it's just, I found that it's every time I watch it, it's getting more and more distracting because I want to know. So I'm sure they'll address it in the second one of the new trilogy. But yeah. I want to know what's happening there because that's all I can think of now every time I watch the opening scene.
What?
Yeah, the Babadook.
It's elevated horror. Ugh.
Ah,
They don't even believe it
ah.
when they say it. I know they mean it as a joke, but even when I heard it, the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. It
Like
just,
in the movie, I laughed. Like I laughed out loud. That was so funny to me. And now I'm just like, yeah, okay, stop saying it. No, it's good though. I love that Judy says now she likes what? Animation and musicals. That's so funny.
wait,
Opposite Judy.
she likes animation and musicals? I don't remember that part.
Dude, when Ghostface phones her in the car
Oh
and he's
yeah.
like, do you like scary movies? And she's like, I prefer animations and musicals.
She picked
I
her
love that so
wardrobe for that
much.
scene. She wanted to look like a cougar. Marley
Uh,
Shelton said she wanted to look like a cougar, so she had those kind of like I don't know, athleisure wear running around as opposed to
yeah,
like an I don't know, a police uniform. But she
yeah,
told the directors that she got to pick what she wore, and she picked all that stuff, which makes you okay. You know what my
incredible.
favorite moment of this movie is? My favorite moment of this movie is Wes when Dylan Minnette is hunted and killed
Mm.
by Ghostface. I don't know which one it is. It's either Richie or well, no, it can't be. It's probably Amber.
I think it's Amber.
She's a beast in this movie. She goes
No,
through
she
some folks.
is. She's hardcore.
Yeah.
Like the women kill in this movie.
Oh, they
Let me
light you
tell
up.
you.
But I like that. So I wrote down in my notes. Let's see. He locks the door, then he opens up the shower, then he opens up the fridge, then he opens up a pantry door, then he opens up another door. And it's just a minutes long sequence of him opening things up and closing it, and you expect the killer to be there. And I was
It's
just
hilarious.
laughing.
Yeah,
It's
same.
I love when movies do that. I love when they're just being
Yeah.
silly on
Like,
purpose.
oh.
And then they
It's
went for
great.
it so much. Like I would have gone for another 5 minutes of him just opening stuff and setting the table.
Absolutely.
That just made me really happy. And then I actually liked
10
that.
minutes in.
I liked that character. But it even makes sense
Yeah.
though, where you commit that murder and then you have Judy get hit, and then the cops leave the hospital, and then you got to go to the hospital. So the plot. Listen, I don't even want to think about if the plot mechanics work with these killers because I just like the idea of the plot. Does that make like I'm not too
Yeah,
worried about
man.
that.
I don't get hung up on it. I don't know. Like I say, as long as the kills are great because and the commentary is great because that's why we watch Scream, you know? Like if it's mindless horror we watch Halloween and like those movies, you know? Even a Freddy. Not Scream. Like Scream's different. I love like I mean the Wes's kill is one of the best kills for me. That knife going slowly into his
Ugh.
neck. Oh my gosh. Every time I'm like, ah! But also like, I mean, his death and Liv's death. Like, it's like, oh man, that was so cool. I feel like this Scream has the most likable characters dying with this movie. It was like both Wes and Liv. I think a lot of people would have loved seeing more of them. You know, I think they're pretty popular characters in
Hmm.
general. Because it was really likable kids in here. So I love that they were like the most survivors ever. I love Chad and Mindy. Like
Yeah, they're
they're
cool.
great.
Hobbs and
So
Shaw.
I'm very happy that they're gonna be around and joined by Kirby and the Six. I can't
Oh,
wait to have
Kirby.
Mindy and Kirby meet. Whoever's writing that scene, I am so jealous. That's gonna be so much fun. I don't know. I like the new kids. Yeah, not like Liv. I feel like Liv had the least going, character-wise, and that's the thing. It's kind of like, ah, I would have liked seeing more of her, but like that's a good thing. Rather that than, oh my gosh, I could not deal with this character. Like I mean,
Yeah.
nobody wants that. So
Liv didn't have much of a role to begin with, and they expanded it to get to where she is, and I still don't think it's
I
enough
for
because I love when she gets in Mindy's head because you know what I like about Mindy is she's the classic smartest high schooler in the room
yeah, yeah.
who is just hasn't been in the real world yet and is just super smart, super brutal, and just funny. Like I think Mindy's great. She's kind of like the king. Like she tells that girl, she just looks at the girl and is like, "Come over here."
Yeah, yeah.
She's the boss. And I like when Liv comes up to her and just freaks her out because that's when you realize that Mindy's just a kid. Like you
Mm.
see the way Mindy reacts, and she just kind of it's really good acting too when by Jasmine Savoy Brown when she just sort of slinks into the couch when Liv gives it to her. So I kind of love that moment. And I think it's important too because I think this movie also helps you remember that these are kids too. Like in
Yeah.
Scream, I don't know. I know Matthew Lillard wasn't 48, but he looked to be like 36 in Scream. He's perfect, and I don't think anyone will. Probably the most fun performance of the franchise. But these kids, I don't know, they just seem like kids, and I dug that about it. But yeah, when Liv goes after Mindy, that's one of my favorite moments. Who did you think were the killers?
I was on to Richie all the way up to in the freaking car when Tara, her asthma pump, like went missing, and Richie was freaking out, and we're not going to go to the party. There, I was like, okay, fine. It can't be Richie. Fine, 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 fine. I was up until that point, I was literally like, he's the killer. It's the boyfriend. Dewey was right.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he got cut in the hospital, which we also need to talk about that, like, gosh, the most abandoned hospital in the history of on-screen hospitals. I feel like the hospital scene, because Scream 4 also had the weird hospital scene at the end. I'm like, oh, are there no people in these hospitals where all these things can just happen? And like, it's very, but like when Richie gets cut, his arm gets sliced. Amber slices his arm as Ghostface slices his arm to make people think that it's not the killer. But that is what happened with Jill in the fourth one. And I feel like that goes way back to the first one with Stu and Billy like stabbing each other to make it look like, they were also victims in their little play. So the whole thing of like, yeah, I was immediately like, no, he got cut. He's the killer. I was
Mm-hmm.
onto Richie the whole way, right until the end. So when it was him, I was like, why they tricked me? But yeah, I had no idea who the second person was. Then I thought Lev, then I thought maybe Chad. I was literally like, Mindy wasn't on my radar. She was the only one that I was like, no, it's not Mindy. Mindy is Randy
Yeah.
and Kirby. And yeah, like we have yet to see that archetype within the Scream franchise be a killer. So and I just don't actually see that. Maybe. They kind of tried to do it with the brother in the third one, but also not really.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if in the sixth one, Scream 2 times 3, that'd be a weird name. If they kind of make well, no, but then Mindy will be back and Kirby will be back, so they won't be the killers.
No, I doubt that unless they add a third movie buff know-it-all guy maybe to make it look like they're balancing it off with the girls, and then boom, 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 he's the killer. I don't know. It's so fun figuring out the whodunit. I mean, that's also a big part of why we love the movies.
Would you,
Whodunit. Who did you think it was?
you know, I was beginning to think that it was Amber and Tara
I
because
also wondered about that at one point.
because I mean Tara
If it
got
was all
stabbed a
set up from the
lot,
beginning.
right? Tara got the crap stabbed out
Yeah.
of her, but maybe like she got slashed so many times in this movie that I thought maybe since she wasn't dead, that might get her away from everybody. Then she was in the hospital.
And also, she and Amber had a weird relationship, like a
Yeah,
weird friendship. So I was also wondering about that because I didn't really buy the friendship almost. So I was like, what's going on there?
yeah, because Amber was always very jealous, and then when Sam comes back, she's sort of angry about it.
Yeah, like she was terribly, yeah, that, yeah, there were these little cues, which I think was deliberately there to
Yeah,
make us wonder about who it could be, who it could be. I did not think Amber and Richie though. I did not see that coming at all.
good old Richie. It's just, what do you think about Richie in this movie? And
I
the
liked
yeah,
him.
it
It
was
was
weird though.
like, yeah, when he also
Oh, sorry.
said, "Oh, bummer, it's a bummer, it's me," and I was like, "Yeah, it is a bummer, it's you." Like he was the funny one. He was the one that kind of reminded us all of Stu again, which was such a fun character. Like, yeah, Richie was funny. I liked him.
I don't know why he was sitting in Tara's hospital room sleeping. If I was the boyfriend of someone whose sister was stabbed, I don't think I'd be sleeping in her hospital room because there's people coming in every other hour. They're like adjusting her. It's not, I don't know. I don't really think it's, if I just met the person, I wouldn't sleep in the same hospital room with them. I'd probably be like in the break room. I don't know. Am I crazy?
Or maybe Sam asked him because she was like very heavy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
yeah, it's not. I don't know.
I was like,
It's
Richie,
not that weird.
what are you doing in
People
there,
are
Richie?
weird, dude. Just watching his stab movies on YouTube. Like, very into stab movies, that one.
Oh
We should have
gosh.
known.
I like the little touches. So they had like the plaid skirt that Tatum, like Liv's plaid skirt was Tatum's, and then the Leatherman jacket that they went back to. Like it's kind of fun that like from Scream 2. So I kind of dig the wardrobe and costumes in this movie. Okay, so I know that you and I could probably unpack this movie over 4 hours, but for the sake of brevity, do you want to talk about our favorite lines, favorite kills, favorite characters? I'll share my scream count, and you can share your stab count. You want to do that?
Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's get into
All
it.
right. So
Cool. What do you want to do first?
my favorite line of the movie is, I got to do it. It's when Wes is talking with Dewey, and Wes just unloads on him about being stabbed and being an alcoholic and retiring from the police station. And then Dewey goes, "Well, maybe you're the killer because that cut deep." And then that's hilarious.
That's my favorite
Yeah,
line too.
because it's hilarious.
It's the best one.
Because what's interesting is he's like, "Well, maybe he knows he's being sassy, but then he admits like that hurt. Like that, and then since Wes is a teenager, he didn't quite know how to deal with that. But I do love that line. Well, maybe you're the killer because that cut deep. Oh, I love that. And
That cut deep. Yeah, and it's such a dewy line. It's perfect. It
yeah,
is perfect. That's my favorite one
it's
too. Every
perfect.
time.
And I love I kind of love when Richie is kicking everyone out of the house. He's like, "I just saved your lives. Yeah, just leave the can there. Like, thank you, teens."
Yeah,
Oh
thank
man.
you. Yeah, Gen Z. I also love when Gal and Sydney arrives at the house and you just hear this scream coming from inside and like Gal's like, sounds about right.
Yeah. Do you believe her?
I don't
No.
know, like
Set
they're
up.
just like, yeah, rock up to the house. Oh gosh, here we go again. But like almost bored with the whole, I love it. I love it. Sounds about right.
And also the magic
It's
blankets.
good.
We didn't touch on the magic blankets because
The magic blankets.
yeah, Gail gets shot right in the gut, and then there is Sydney who is stabbed right in the gut area.
Yeah.
But at the end of the film, they just have little blankets over them, and they seem totally fine. So the directors made a joke, and they call them magic blankets, and that's what heals them at the end of the movie.
I love it. That's a magic blanket.
Yeah. And then Sam Carpenter gets stabbed really deep in the side, and that hit something, but then they just
Yeah,
wrap her up. So I love that there's a
that's
magic
true.
wrap and there's magic blankets in this world. So
Incredible.
yeah,
Like, let the healing begin.
And
It's
also,
amazing.
Melissa Barrera, I think well, you know what? We'll talk about her in a little bit because we got our list. But yeah, I like the magic blankets in this. This isn't a line at all, but
That's
I
awesome.
figured I forgot about talking about that, so I had to do it. But yeah, that's my
That's great.
I'm glad you and I had the same line. That's awesome. So, how many screams do you think there
The
are in this
Sandman.
movie?
Oh gosh. I think actually maybe not as much as the others. But I don't know. No, I don't know. Hit me, Mark. How many?
Give me an over under.
I 15? That a lot.
64.
Whoa! Really?
Yeah,
That's a lot.
there's a lot. Yeah. 64 screams. So Scream 1 only has 37. Scream 2 has
Yeah.
51. Scream 3 has 58. Scream 4 has 43. And Scream 5 has the most.
Who screams? Who does the most? Where does all the screaming take place?
Well, all right, so I mean, the first attack, there's a ton of screams, and then you get, let's see, oh yeah, there's a lot on the first
So
page here.
Tara's a screamer.
Yeah, Tara really
Tara's a
goes
real
for
screamer.
it. That opening scene, there's tons of screams, and then when we get there's not too many kills for a little bit because they're all just talking for a while, but then you get the kills of Wes and the mom. And then you move on to the ending with everyone running around screaming because you have two killers, and then you have
Yeah.
there's a large group of
Awesome.
people in there being shot and stabbed and yelling and being screamed at. So yeah, this is the most screams of all the Scream movies.
Wow. Wow. That is unexpected. I did
Mind
not expect that.
mind blown.
Yeah, a little bit. I thought this one was going to have the least. I don't know why. Maybe because it didn't feel very screamy.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, yeah, what?
I just sat there with a pen and paper, just I was so intent. I just sat there going, oh, there's one. I was like, did I miss one? And I would go back and like, no, that wasn't a scream. So the way I track screams are not yelling at somebody. So there's no, hey, you. It's more of a, ah. That's what it is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so
Like actual, yeah, scream.
I'm amazed that it beat Scream 3 because Scream 3, they have a scene where people just scream for fun as a cheeky gag where Dewey pulls up in front of everybody and then they all scream, then he screams. So yeah, this is a scream heavy movie.
How did you count Scream 2's opening scene? Because it feels like everyone's just constantly screaming in the opening of Scream 2. The sound of that opening is so.
Yeah, Scream 2, the people in the
Can you?
theater, I didn't really count the people in the theater because they weren't being attacked, they were just watching the movie. So in Scream 2, I just counted the times when a killer was chasing someone. Because if it was screams in a theater, it would be in the thousands. So
Makes sense.
yeah, because
Good call.
I was wondering that, and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way I could do this. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to stick with people screaming because of Ghostface. Or like a cheeky jump scare where Dewey has the mask, and then Sydney sees him and they both yell. That's a scream because
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
scared.
yeah. That's a scream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
That
how I
counts.
counted it. And I'm shocked. I thought when I saw this, I was still convinced that Scream 3 had it beat. But Scream 5 is the Scream king. 5 cream is the king.
Scream. Five cream. I love that.
Does that mean okay, if they spell it like that, does that mean that 7 is 7 N?
What?
Okay, so like you know how people spell 7 the title?
Yeah.
So it's like se and then 7
I hate that.
right? It's se 7
Se,
se
mm,
7 N.
se seven. Se seven. Se seven N.
Se 7 N.
Se
There it
seven
is.
N.
Se 7 N.
Yeah. I know people always they like it because it's stylized. I personally don't like it, but that's okay. So I counted the total stabs and the total gunshots and actually the kill counts of them. So you want to take some guesses at the ratios here of stabs to gunshots?
Okay, so let me think. So we have all right. I'm gonna try to do this to the best of my ability. I think Vince gets stabbed once. Sheriff Judy will say 7 times, so we're at 8. Wes once, so we're at 9. Liv gets shot. I don't want to get into that. 9. Dewey gets stabbed maybe 4 times, so we're at 13. Richie gets stabbed in the arm, and so that's 4. And then he gets stabbed 22. I'll say 36. I'm up to now. Amber gets burnt and flipped. I don't even remember if she gets shot in the head, but and then let's see, Jenna Ortega is 14, 36. I would say there's 52 stabs, and shots are Gail gets shot, Liv gets shot, Amber gets shot. So there's 3 shots. Oh no, I totally forgot about the twin brother who gets stabbed. He gets stabbed maybe 4 times. And actually, Mindy gets stabbed too. So I'm going to go up to 70 stabs and 8 bullets.
Great stuff. You're actually very close with your first guess. It's 54 stabs.
Whoa.
Total. So interesting. Sam stabs Richie the most, 22 times, and 1 slice. Actually, yeah, there's like 54 stabs, and there's 4 slices. All in all, 3 missed slices. Only Richie has a killer slice. And also there's 1 stab that went into a bulletin board. But yeah, 54 stabs. Richie gets the most, 22. Chad gets 7.
Whoa.
Obviously, Judy gets 9. In the opening with Sarah, she's got 6 in there. And the rest is actually like not a lot. It's like 1, 1, 1, 2, like little numbers. Interesting total kills. Actually, wait, let's do so that's 54 stabs. Oh, and 5 stabs resisted. 5 stabs resisted. Yeah. Richie resisted the one in the hospital. Dewey resisted 2. And then it got him. Sydney resisted 1. And Mindy resisted 1. Gunshots, we've got 25. 25 Whoa. Total gunshots. A lot of gunshots. I was surprised too. I did not think there was going to be so many. And this is the 5th one. So I think as we go down the other Scream movies, this is probably going to climb higher with more cops being around and stuff. But 25, it was a lot. And so the total kills with the stabs is 5 out of 9. 5 out of 9 people were stabbed. 5 died. With the gunshots, you've got 4 out of 7 who died. And Richie is the only one in both, because I felt like, yeah, he did get the last gunshot in the head, but he would have died of those 22 stabs. So I kind of put him in both. But yeah, so the stab, gunshot, like fatality count is pretty even, with half of those, gunshots. 54 versus 25. It's interesting numbers.
Wow, that's fun, because I forgot about Sydney shooting the doors. I forgot about I guess what I liked about Sam in this movie. I kind of felt like she could take care of herself, and I liked that about her. Like when she ran into a room, I was kind of worried for the killer, and at the end when she starts stabbing Richie, like she just lights him up. And that could be interesting in the sequels, just her sort of channeling her inner Billy Loomis. I don't think it works like that, but in this movie, and Chad gets stabbed 7 times and he lives.
Chad gets stabbed 7 times, dude. Like, yeah, whoever got him, I guess it's Amber again. Amber is a beast. I actually should have checked because she stabs everyone. I mean, the way she did Dewey was... No, we're not going to forget that for a long time. Also, just want to say, Tara does 1 gunshot, and it's perfect because it's Amber literally on the move, and Tara gets her in the head first time. Like, yeah, I don't... Again, the Babadook power. Really, with that shot...
Babadook power!
I mean... I still prefer the Babadook. Not with that, gun skills, but anyway.
Yeah, that's... I love that kill.
She watches Westerns. But yeah.
Do you think... I guess we can talk about the sequel a little bit with Kirby But I'm excited to see where they go. It was nice seeing...
So excited.
I think they finally handled... Because I think they handled Sydney and Gail really well in this one. And I think they handled them better than Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween 2018. Very much so. I think they're just better handled. So I don't know, I like having them back. And I like when they call her New Girl. They're like, hey, New Girl. Hey, so do you want to pick our 5 favorite non-main characters? So we're leaving out Dewey, Gale, and Sydney, but everybody else is fair game. And we're going to pick 5 from this movie. And then we have to keep our list at 5. So when we get through Scream 1, we still have a list of only 5 people. So the 5 we pick from this, if we add a new one, we have to drop one to only stay at 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I think you and I both have I'm adding Mindy as my number 1, right?
Oh yeah, listen, I've got the twins. I mean, I'm not going anywhere without my Chad and my Mindy. I want my like Mindy is great. She's just an obvious, great, strong character. But Chad, oh, the twins. I love the twins. Yeah. Anyway, just a nice little story there.
No, I love it. No, that's awesome, and I like them a lot. I would also probably add Sheriff Judy Hicks because I don't know, she just seems nice. She likes her kid. I love her in the 4th one. I think she's great in this 5th one. She becomes the sheriff. She's kind of hard on Sam, but I don't know. I like that she goes to pick up food. I think she's pretty funny. So I'm adding for my 3rd. I'm going to say Marley Shelton is my 3rd that I'm going to add in here.
Perfect. I am adding Wes for my 3rd one. Since you're picking the mom, I'll pick the boy. I just think that I didn't really get the mom vibe from Judy. I don't know. She didn't really give me mom vibes. She gave me cougar vibes, but not really mom vibes. I'll go with Wes. I feel like, oh, shame he didn't have a lot of time to do his thing, and I think he could have been fun. But the boy sure did try his best. So yeah, I'll add him there. Plus, he's got like the creator's name, so that's something.
Okay, so we have Mindy, Chad. Okay, I know. I mean, listen, are you a big fan of Sam and Tara? Are you a big fan of them?
The more I watch it, the more I like Sam, for
Yeah.
sure. But I still want to see kind of like where they go. I'm not really feeling Tara. I think she's like, I've just like little, it's the Babadook thing.
Yeah.
I would love to see where they take Sam. I like the way they ended it with her. So I've got her on my list.
Same.
She's my 4th. Yeah, and you?
I have Sam on mine. I like that they swung big with her. I mean, she sees a de-aged version of her dad. I mean, a high school version. It's quite interesting. And you know what though, but if you're going to make a sequel, if you're going to make a requel, like swing big. They didn't play it safe by
Exactly.
including a de-aged Skeet. So I am going to add, so right now I have Deputy Judy, I have Sam, and I have the twins as my 4. Who do you got?
Cool, yeah. So, for my 5th, yes, I've got, yeah, the twins, Sam, Wes, and then I'm gonna add Richie. Like, I enjoyed Richie. I feel like yeah, I just like his comedy vibes, man. I don't know. Like, he was smart in a way. Like, he almost didn't feel like a killer. He kind of feels like maybe should have been one of those characters where he wasn't the killer in the 1st one, but he was the killer in the 2nd one. I don't know, that maybe sounds ridiculous, but I can see it. I'm adding Richie as my 5th.
Oh gosh, so this is tough. Yeah, I mean, I like.
For me, it was between Richie and Liv, honestly, because I think, yeah.
Liv kind of goes
That's
down like
the
a
thing.
chump, so I can't add her.
But I think she deserved more.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, she just gets
Shame.
shot, and I like Amber
She's
going
a teenager.
unhinged.
She's such a teenager, Mark.
Mhm. Yeah, and I
Like,
did
you
not see her
just
get.
right.
I did not see her get shot in the head. Jeez Louise, that was a pretty
Yeah.
good one. I mean, I like when Amber goes for it, but I'm not like overall I'm not a huge fan of the character. So I'm gonna take. You know what? I'll add Richie to mine as well because I love his bit.
Perfect.
I like when he's talking to Mindy and he's like, "Okay, I'll be right back," and they're like, they said that stupid moment together. Then he's talking to the kids.
Exactly.
You know what's funny? Every time I watch the movie, I'm like, don't stab Sam. Like, stop, Richie. Richie, stop.
Yeah, there's this weird part that just, again, when he tells Sam, yeah, bummer is me, I'm like, yeah, it really is a bummer because he's one of those characters that could have gone either way so easily, you know? It's like
Hmm.
you're actually kind of rooting for the boy, but then boy goes bad, and you're like, why, boy? Why?
I guess he is. I guess they kind of make him the face of toxic fandom, but they could have
Yeah.
subverted it and made it something else. Because it's almost the
Yeah.
obvious pick for toxic fandom, I guess. So,
I think that I think if they did go with something else route, it might have ended up being more who's Jill's right hand killer guy in the fourth. What's his
oh,
name
like
again?
Rory
I think
Culkin.
yeah. Like his character, I think it might have been too similar to that vibe, actually, because I think that's the vibe. There's a vibe. I don't know.
No, that makes sense though, because Jill could have cared less about that guy. I don't even know his name
Exactly.
from Scream 4.
Exactly.
So Jill
And he
just
did it very well.
Jill just used him completely. So I guess it's good to have Richie be the. I feel like he recruited Amber. Do you do you think?
Probably, right? He's this charismatic guy. So I guess that fits also into the whole psycho killer, being charismatic and whatever. Like sometimes you get that. Yeah. It was an interesting choice. Um, but again, like we said, it's not, we don't take our Scream movies super
No.
serious, but it is like, I think for a killer, it was interesting choices. Amber still, Amber made sense, although gosh, her hysterics. Like I love how when the tables have turned and she's in the corner with like Gal and Sydney like pointing guns at her or whatever. She's like, oh no, I was radicalized. Like it's so quickly, she turned so quickly, you know, like it's like, what, girl? No. Oh, yeah. I've never enjoyed seeing a character being lit on fire on screen that much.
Yeah. Hand sanitizer. Oh boy.
Oh, that was so funny. That was so funny.
They just beast mode her, which I like, and they both have stab wounds and bullet wounds inside of them. But
Yeah.
I think Gail is going to be a cyborg pretty soon because she has been shot, stabbed, just maimed in general. So whatever's going on in there, it's got to be rough. Gail has some rough mornings after being lit up so many times.
She can't be okay. I mean, Dewey had he was put through the ringer too, and he's got a limp, and like he's tough years there at the end. Gal is, you're right. Gal's right, gonna be right there with him. I mean, she's gonna go next, right? We all know that she's gonna die in the sixth one, right? We all know this, right?
Because
Like, guys, we need to make our peace with it now. Like, Gal's gonna die next, and then Sydney's gonna die in the trilogy, the third final of the new reboot movies. I mean, we know this, right? We need to prepare. We need to be strong,
we need
deal
to
with it,
we got to weather the
because we need
storm.
to move on. Weather the storm. It needs to happen. It's okay. We're all like in it together.
Ah, poor Gail. But I'm glad we got to talk about this. I feel like I have 8 more pages of notes, but there's just
Absolutely.
it's still I like that they write about fan fiction. These are fans creating this movie. These are fans want to see
Yeah,
this
man.
movie get made, so they create it on their own, and that's
Exactly.
pretty cool. That's I like it, and I'm glad we do it. And I'm looking forward to talking about Scream 4 because I like Jill. I like Emma Roberts in the fourth one, so I think that'll be a fun discussion. David Cross and I covered it once on the show, so now you and I are doing it. So that's good.
Fun.
Yeah, so
Fun. I love Kirby, so that's right.
oh, she's
Just
a
the last
beast.
thing about the whole fan thing. I love it when they're at the hospital and so Sam and Sarah and Richie's also there. They all meet Sydney for the first time. Like Sydney arrived, Sydney's here. And Richie is immediately like, okay, I'll go get the car. And you just know that he's like running out and texting Amber and like, she's here, Sydney's here. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like you just know he's doing.
Oh yeah, just
You just
hopping up
know.
and
So
down.
every time I watch it now, and he's like, okay, I'll go get the car. I start laughing because I know what he's doing outside of screen, the character. It's so funny.
Oh, I
Because,
love it.
yeah, they're just fans. And, yeah, killer fans. Ha ha ha.
Killer fans. Oh brother.
Oh,
But it's
I
real.
love
I feel like it's
Scream.
I don't know. I like it. I'm glad it was a success. I like the cast a lot. I really liked Melissa Barrera in The Heights. She crushed that movie. That's a good cast. I love that film. So
Nice.
I'm stoked that there's a good, and also Jenna Ortega, like she's been in some cool stuff over the. She was in You. She's been in some other cool shows that I liked.
Yeah.
Like she's an X.
Mm,
I don't know.
yeah.
I never watched that one. But yeah, so I like
Yeah.
the cast. I look forward to more, and I look forward to talking to Scream 4. Hey, anything you want to promote before we get out of here?
No, you can check me out on social media, Sanani Buetes. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
All right, this was fun. Well, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, so for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Zanani Boetis, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.